Welcome to episode 100. Literally, this is episode 100. We are thrilled you're here. It's really episode 100. We've done it to 100. We're going to go to 200. So we're thrilled you're joining us, and we're thrilled you're here for today's talk, because this is something that has been on your mind, whether today or other days, but we know you've asked us for this topic. So we're glad to bring it to you in episode 100. So what is this? Today you are here with us for the Believe series. And our guest today is Nancy Ancowitz. Hi, Nancy.
Hi there, Senya. Thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you here. So to let people know a few things about Nancy, Nancy and I have known each other for a number of years. And Nancy's the author of a book that I have recommended to many, many people. Nancy also is a professor. Nancy, would you tell us a little bit about your book before we get started on this fancy topic of networking?
Sure. It's Self-Promotion for Introverts, The Quiet Guide to Getting Ahead, self-explanatory title. And I'm an introvert myself and have navigated the waters of being an entrepreneur, corporate citizen, Wall Street, being a professor now, and an author, and all that stuff, and an executive coach focused on career advancement, really, and business communication skills. But anyhow, for those of us who have quiet strengths, when I wrote my book and blog for Psychology Today and all that, it was truly a new topic. It was truly a new idea. And it's for all of those out there who have quiet strengths. They don't necessarily go to crowded events and work the room and all that stuff, the things that make us feel overwhelmed. It's playing to our quiet strengths. And how do you do that well as an introvert? How do you build your career well as an introvert? And guess what? A lot of the techniques apply to extroverts too, but I'm coming from a place as an introvert.
So you and I were talking about networking and how just across the board, we have noticed that people don't love networking, to say the least. They don't love networking. And as an introduction, we're going to put up this question for you. So please give us a comment or two into the comments. How do you feel about networking? Positive, negative, anything. You can write more than one thing. How do you feel about networking?
Sure.
And in speaking about this, you and I thought, that whether introverts or extroverts, there's got to be a not prickly, not rotten way to network. And so I'm going to start, as we're starting to get the comments on how people feel about networking. I'm going to ask you about your beliefs. So our overall main question on this series is, what is it that you believe to be true that others in your field would disagree with you about?
All righty. It's a little bit of a trick answer to your question. What I believe to be true. Now, others in my field, career coaches, let's say, will all tell you that you should be networking. You should be out there. However, I guess I see it a little differently. I see it that, well, there's no should, but it's do what you need to advance your career. Whatever your career goal is, follow that bliss. Okay, all that's good. But I think most people don't really walk the walk, talk the talk. Most people say they know how to network, or the coaches will tell you that here's what you're supposed to do, but few people really are out there doing it. And out there just staying connected to people throughout their careers, not just when they need something, responding to emails and other inputs within 24 hours, as long as they're real people, not the spammy stuff, and taking care of others in your network, like actively, heavy lifting on that, folks, really taking care of others, not just looking to get taken care of yourself. So it's so much a two-way street. Again, there's a lot of lip service to it, and not to put down other coaches. I think they say a lot of great stuff, but the folks who are really out there and doing this and walking the walk every day, it's so rare.
So what I'm hearing you say is that, yes, I would even say all coaches to some degree, especially career coaches, would say networking is important. Here are some ways to network. Let's network. And I think what you're saying is that actual action of doing it on a daily basis, on an almost daily basis, that's critical. And sometimes networking at a meta level doesn't get to hear, these are the things, and what are you doing? And did you do it today? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. It's doing those daily actions. So who have you reached out to today? Who have you written a LinkedIn recommendation today for? And I like the idea of 4 eyes, which are particularly helpful for introverts. So who can you share information with, whether it's an article, a video, uh, some useful information, some intel in your industry, introductions. Who can you introduce to whom? I'm a big fan of, and you know this, Senya, throughout the years, if I get an opportunity that I have to say no to, I don't just say no, I pass it on. I make somebody else an introduction, and so that 2 other parties get to benefit. I don't just turn things
Absolutely.
down.
I have seen you do this many, many, many times.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it takes the extra, it's going the extra mile, but it's taking care of people in my network. And then insights. So you might say, I'm not connected, all that kind of stuff, but you, especially as an introvert, maybe you're a great listener. And you could give that presence, that time to somebody to be a sounding board, especially now during COVID. Like people are suffering, people are desperate. Giving that ear to somebody can change their day, can change their life, can make their experience better. And then invitations. Like you could say, I just heard about Senya's next talk, her belief on her belief series. You have to log in and let's talk about it later. So that's an invitation, even virtually. Why not? So those are the 4 eyes that I think can make a real difference.
Information, introduction, introducing to people, insight, helping people with insight, and inviting people to
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
All 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's back up a little bit to get to this question in a little more detail. What field would you say you are in?
You could say I'm a career coach.
Okay.
If we needed one bucket, career coach, that's fine.
Yeah.
Call me whatever you want.
I will call you an expert on networking. I know what I'm calling you.
In this little Zoom box or whatever we're on, StreamYard box, I can't fit all the hats. They go up high. As I imagine you have a lot of hats too, but they don't fit in the box. Don't we all wear a lot of hats?
We do, we do, we do. How did you come to these beliefs about networking? That it's daily, that it's writing that LinkedIn recommendation, that it's connecting people, that it's taking care of people in your network. How did you come to these beliefs?
It's seeing a lot of sad clients and graduate students come to me who are like, I need a job. COVID. This is horrible. Internships and jobs are getting turned, the spigot's getting shut or almost shut. It's a horrible time. But even pre-COVID, it's that need, that neediness, that desperation. And I see the problem and I know the fix. And I see the fix works day after day.
I'm just coming back from you. What is something that somebody watching right now, what are 3 actions? We didn't speak about this, so I'm really just putting you on the spot. What are 3 actions somebody watching with us today could take even today in terms of networking, but in a way that feels good to them?
Okay. Create a networking marketing mix. And that's one action that could be 10 or 20 or 3. Doesn't matter. But I like the number 3 because it's neat and complete. But this marketing mix, it's playing to the strengths that you have, whether you're introvert, extrovert, whatever you want to call yourself.
Yeah.
It's playing to your strengths and it's picking activities. So if you're a good speaker, book yourself some speaking events, whether they're volunteer, whether they're paid, whatever they are, whether it's facilitating meetings, facilitating something at your community organization. So speaking is a headline item. So if you're a good speaker and if you're not, you want to build that skill, do it. Do some volunteer work, make it happen. And if you're a good writer, then write. then write, then co-author something, then do a guest contribution to somebody's blog, whatever it is, find ways. So as part of your marketing mix, it's finding those multiple activities that work for you, that play to your strengths, instead of forcing yourself into a square peg, round hole. Like if you're not a good writer and you're a good speaker, well, then do the one that you're good at rather than forcing yourself. And sure, you can build some skills. Yeah. And then another thing is, what events can you attend, whether they're virtual or real, depending on where you live and all that stuff, and where can you show up? And another is informational interviews, which are really my favorite technique. And okay, I've gone over my 3, but
We went to 4. Thank you for giving us. So you
I'm
said
bucketing. Yeah. Pro tip.
So let's summarize. You had said marketing mix, figure for networking.
The overall. The marketing mix is just coming up with a bunch of things.
Okay.
And then that bunch of things can be all the things I described. And
then you're on 3. Then you're on 3. Great. So informational interviews. Can you run through them again, the 3 that you just mentioned?
Oh gosh. There's so many floating through my head that I think I ran by them already. But okay, so speaking.
Yes.
Writing. Arithmetic. No. So speaking, writing, attending events. But the marketing mix is the most important. And then informational interviews. And some people go, what's that? Coffee chats. It's like online or virtual coffee chats. It's a way of just connecting to people. I've never found a job through an ad. And most of my clients, graduate students, they may find opportunities online, they may find ads, but really what typically gets them the job is knowing some people in the organization because they've networked. And through knowing those people in the organization, they answer the ad, and then they can mention some people they know, and then some of the people they know, because they've impressed them and sent them the 4 eyes and all that stuff, then they're an insider. And that person will hand the hiring manager their resume and say, you really need to talk to this person. That's how opportunities are happening. So back to 3, pick them.
I am loving that you're just making things really, really concrete. So I'll put up one of your quotes that you've just said. What are informational interviews? They're coffee chats.
Yeah, it's coffee chats. And coffee, tea, whatever you want. But it's talking to another human being, just as we're doing right now. It's connecting. And the safest way is asking for advice. If all else fails, say, I'm looking for such and such. I would love your advice. What would you do in my shoes? And showing interest in the other person, not putting them on the spot by asking them for an opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's just connecting, sending them questions in advance if they would welcome that.
So let's get really practical. Let's say I would like to reach out to Joe Smith.
Yes.
Joe Smith is in my career. He's exactly the kind of person that I would like to start to work with.
Yes.
What should I do?
What should you do? Joe Smith is on the career path you want.
Joe Smith is the next person I need to speak with.
And Joe Smith's a total stranger?
Yes. Let's start with that. Yes.
Okay. So total strangers are the toughest animals. So we start with the toughest. The toughest is, so if Joe Smith is a total stranger, first you want to check LinkedIn and see who Joe Smith knows that you know. Check out Joe Smith's profile. Where did Joe Smith go to school? What affiliations do they have? Where do they volunteer? Where do they do everything? And find out your proverbial Venn diagram with Joe Smith. So ideally, if you know somebody in common, you could say, would you please introduce me to Joe Smith? That's going to have a lot more weight than you're going to Joe Smith cold. We all know that. but we often forget. And then if you do have to go to Joe Smith cold, you want to say something to Joe Smith that is as targeted as possible and succinct. So something, let's say Joe Smith just got a promotion. Congratulations on your recent promotion, Joe Smith. Um, I'm I'm currently in XYZ path, interested in your field, and would love to have a coffee chat with you. Would you be open to that? Happy to find ways to help you at some point as well. I love throwing that in because it's saying I'm not just looking for help. I'd also like to help you whenever possible.
Yeah, that's so concrete, Nancy. I
Oh,
love that
thank
you're
you.
doing that. It's so concrete. It's, first of all, you think this person is a cold contact. Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something you have in common, whether even if you like the same things or have
Yeah.
some, or you might have a person in common. And then just this really concise message when you're speaking to them. You even told me once on the phone, not only congratulations on this promotion, but I saw you on this interview, or I saw you do this TED Talk. Here's a concept that really resonated, or I loved how you spoke about this. But you just said really concrete.
Oh, yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that because not everybody got a promotion, but something specific that they wrote, that they spoke at, or some affiliation, or I see that you're the president of such and such professional organization, the chapter near me. I'm interested in that organization, would love to know more. Just something targeted, something, I mean, it's the opposite of those LinkedIn recommendations, not recommendations, the LinkedIn invitations you get that are just the standard language. And it's just, why would, so it's really targeting the human being.
So let's get practical. In a day, how much time should I be allocating and to what activities? If I want to not just walk away and say, oh, I really like what Nancy had to say, but if I really want to implement it, what should I be doing? What's my time mix and what are those activities?
24 hours a day. We try to get 8 hours of sleep. We try. Then back out food, exercise, family. You have family, all the stuff to make a living. Okay, so see what you're left with, and see what's your real and ideal. So, what do you really have? Do you have an hour? Do you have 15 minutes? Whatever it is, but carve it out. Put it on your calendar. Make it real. To say concrete, make it real, and say even if it's 20 minutes today. 20 minutes today, I'm going to, let's say, make my list of people I'm going to reach out to and have a specific ask. So it's carving that time out. And ideal, you could be a bigger number. Yeah.
What part of your list should be contacts that you have been in touch with over time, or close contacts as opposed to completely new contacts?
Whatever you choose. I mean, reconnecting with people is a great thing. And then making new contacts is a great thing. You could go 50-50, you could go 20-80. The sky's the limit. You pick. It's a pie, so the sky's not the limit. It's a pie. So you pick and you allocate like think of a pizza pie and you say how much time you're going to spend on each of these activities.
I guess I just asked because you said those cold contacts, they're the toughest nut to crack.
Oh, yeah.
So I just thought, look, is there a way that I can ease into it? If I'm really, listen, I just watched Ancowitz and I want to do something, and I don't want to do something where my answer is going to be completely no and I have nothing else that I can take action.
Oh, to that point, yeah, sure. So start with a few warm contacts. An old boss or an old colleague who would love to hear from you. You just lost touch. It's been a year. It's been 5 years, whatever it is. But yeah, so start with some to warm it up.
Just connect. So what I'm hearing you say is connect, reach out, talk, find out how they are. It doesn't have to be about here's what I'm looking for at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And find out what they want. When you reach out, find out what they want. Find out how you can help them.
Because then you could do something like this, your 4 eyes. You could give them information. You could give them an introduction once you know.
Yes.
You would know how to, I'm just sort of thinking out loud, but you would know that targeted insight for them.
Yes. And find out what matters to them. They'll find out what matters to you. You find out what matters to them. And you figure you have a good working relationship. You can help each other.
Nancy, you're even giving me a thought that as I'm speaking with someone I'm catching up with, someone I really like and have lost touch with, it might be nice to even just have in the back of my head, what kind of information would be useful for this person? What kind of introductions? Almost like a checklist that I would be able to fill in with information that they're sharing with you. So it is targeted. So it's real. It's valuable to them the next time we connect.
Yes, and that's a thoughtful thing. And any good salesperson knows that as well, that before you reach out to a prospect, you think of all the notes that you have about them, if they have a partner, if they have children, their last vacation, although these days, but all the things about them that you can think about, and even spending a few minutes before reaching out to them, it'll make a difference because you'll be that much more targeted and that much more connected to them rather than just the generic reach out, I need something, which is we're trying to avoid.
We have a question from a viewer.
Yes.
So the question is from Avinash. He is saying, when you send a LinkedIn invitation to somebody you don't know, what should you include?
Again, something targeted, something.
Even in that short note, Nancy, because it's a
Yes.
somewhat short space.
Yes.
So
yes.
please go ahead. What's an example of something that you could put in there?
So I see that you're the head of the XYZ club. I'm terribly interested in that topic, would love to connect with you and possibly have a conversation to see how I could contribute to your club.
Oh man, I mean, that's all about how I could contribute to your thing. I would reply to that if I got that.
Okay, that's it. That's it. That's all it is. And it's just a few sentences. And yes, you have, I don't know how many characters, but it's not much. It's 2-3 sentences, but that's what I just did. So yeah, thank you, Avinash.
Yeah. Thank you so much. As we conclude our talking about the meta points of networking, but also the really specifics, you've given us some beautiful actions and actionable ideas here today. So thank you so much for those. As we conclude those, what's something, and I would like to let people know just before we get there, I'd like to let people know that this is Nancy's book on Amazon, which is Self-Promotion for Introverts. I've read it. I love it. I spoke with Nancy about it. I wonder, I have to say, Nancy, I love your subtitle for it, The Quiet Guide to Getting Ahead. I've just always loved that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also want to point out Nancy's website to you, which is nancyancowitz.com. So that's going to be easy to see and remember from today. So please feel free to reach out to Nancy in these ways, her website, to read her book. Nancy, as we come to our conclusion, what concluding thought would you like to leave people with?
Remember how amazing you are as a human being and be proud of it. A lot of us walk around with imposter syndrome, with doubting ourselves, with thinking that other people have got it better and whatnot. And especially during COVID, remember how amazing you are and how much you have to offer the world. So when you network, you really are this special person with so much to offer. People should be happy to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senya.
We've been here with Nancy Ancowitz for our 100th episode, the 100, the big 100. We're thrilled that you were on for this one. And this has been about the not prickly, not rotten way to network. Thank you for joining us. We're here every day, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific. Thank you again, Nancy. Thank you.
Thank you, Senya. Happy 100.